Chapter 34.
Draco. Harry cut in abruptly, his gaze fixed intensely on Draco, who hung back just a single pace from them. "Is that really you?" He slipped his glasses back on to get a better look. "You don't seem to be injured at all." "I thought." "Sorry to let you down," Draco replied with a bored tone, "but contrary to my premature demise, Potter, you'll indeed conclude your first year in Slytherin." To Draco's surprise, Potter didn't show the confusion he anticipated. "I was worried you might have died. Don't ever pull that stunt again, Draco." "Oh, no worry," Draco replied casually. "Next time I'll just let the redhead meet his end." And at this, he joined Ron in a bout of playful shoving that made Hermione clear her throat impatiently as Harry grinned. "Oh, Harry, I can't stand it anymore. Tell us what happened," Hermione implored, and Harry began recounting the tale. Draco felt a shiver as he heard mentions of the Mirror of Ariste, yet the rest was just as he had envisioned. He played along with Ron and Hermione's gasps and shrieks, but when Harry revealed what lay beneath Quirrell's turban, Draco couldn't help but interject a triumphant "I told you so." Harry shot him a look, but its intensity was almost comforting. "You always seemed sure it wasn't Snape, didn't you?" "That's because, unlike you, Potter, I actually use my brain. However, I'd suggest we all pitch in and get you one, especially after your latest heroic deed has gained you quite the audience," Draco mocked. "So the stone's gone for real?" Ron eventually asked. "Flamel's just going to die now." "Precisely." But Dumbledore seemed to think, what was it? To the well-organized mind, death is just the beginning of a great new adventure. "Always said he was mad," Ron said appreciatively, while Draco had to smother a laugh, considering the stark differences with a certain other dark wizard of their time. Well-organized was not part of Voldemort's mental vocabulary. "What happened to you three?" asked Harry. "We made it back fine," Hermione responded. "It took some time to get Draco out. Used the featherlight charm he taught me. We were on our way to the Ollery to send word to Dumbledore when we ran into him at the entrance hall. He seemed to already know, just said, 'Harry's gone after him, hasn't he?' and dashed off to the third floor. Which, as Draco imagined, involved towing him as a featherlight deadweight." "Do you think he planned it for you?" Ron asked Harry. "Sending you your dad's cloak and all?" "Obviously," Draco chimed in. "It was all too neatly arranged to be coincidence. Quite unscrupulous of the old wizard, really." "Well," Hermione burst out, "if he did, I mean, that's appalling. You could have died." "No, it's not that bad," said Harry pensively. "He's an odd sort, Dumbledore. I have a feeling he just wanted to give me a chance. He seems to know pretty much everything that happens here. I think he wanted me to figure out the mirror on my own. Almost like he thought I deserved to face Voldemort if I was capable." "Yeah, Dumbledore's bonkers, for sure," said Ron with pride, while Hermione whispered to Draco that Muggles would not stand for such risks taken by school authorities. Draco, unsettlingly, was inclined to agree with the Muggles. "Well," Ron continued, "you've got to make it to the end-of-year feast. Points are all counted and naturally Slytherins come out on top. If only that were true." But this time, Draco braced himself for the inevitable. He resolved to handle it philosophically, just as Ron appeared to be managing. He vowed not to display less composure than a Weasley. "You missed out on the last Quidditch match. Ravenclaw ran us over without you, but the feast will be delicious." Just then, Madame Pomfrey appeared, bustling over. "You've had enough time now, out," she commanded firmly. Slytherin was jubilant. The great hall glittered in green and silver, the serpent banner proudly displayed behind the high table. Draco wondered if Severus anticipated the oncoming betrayal like he did, or was as clueless as Draco had been. He hoped it wouldn't hurt Severus more knowing that his own godson's actions led Gryffindor to victory. He had watched Severus wearing the ring, which could mean he was in favor unless it was meant to be hurled at Draco's feet in a dramatic gesture when his indulgent acts towards Gryffindor cost them the cup. Regrettably, Draco had no strong defense against such repercussions that wouldn't betray him further. Potter was absent, and rather than filling Draco with glee, it filled him with nervousness. He kept stealing glances at Ron and Hermione until the hall suddenly quieted at the entrance of the famed Chosen One. Draco's fellow Slytherins muttered ominously, theorizing about recent events that Draco could easily clarify, though none dared to inquire. Minutes later, Dumbledore arrived, and quiet descended. Another school year concluded, he cheerfully began. I must pester you once more with an old man's musings before we delve into this splendid feast. What a year it's been! Let's hope your brains are a touch more occupied than before. You've the summer to empty them. As I'm informed, we've a house cup to award, and standings are thus. 4th place, Gryffindor, with 312 points. 3rd, Hufflepuff, with 352. Ravenclaw has 426, and Slytherin 452. Draco saw his Slytherin peers erupt into loud cheers and clinking of goblets. Joining the applause, he tried to swallow the anticipation of the crushing revelation that was to come. He wished he had prepped Severus, assuming his discretion would have allowed it. Yes, excellent Slytherin, Dumbledore said. Nevertheless, recent events dictate additional points must be dispensed. Draco sensed tension, particularly when Vincent halted his metal clanging. Ahem, stated Dumbledore. I have a few last-minute points to dispense. Let me see. Ah yes. First, to Mr. Ronald Weasley. Draco had recounted this in his notes, memories fresh in his mind, painfully detailed with every stinging syllable. For orchestrating the finest chess game Hogwarts has witnessed in years, I award Gryffindor 50 points. Draco rolled his eyes, hands busy fidgeting with his nails, ignoring the cheering Gryffindors. He overheard Percy Weasley brag about his brother's feat with McGonagall's giant chess game. Apparently, their escapade had garnered more attention than Draco realized. Maybe Ron's gloating prefect sibling would back off a bit. Secondly, to Miss Hermione Granger, for her use of logic amidst chaos, 50 points to Gryffindor. Draco glanced at Hermione, tears streaming down, feeling the loss with a touch of sweetness rather than only bitterness. Thirdly, to Mr. Harry Potter. Dumbledore announced to silence. For remarkable bravery, Gryffindor gains 60 points. And there it was, a total of 472 points. Sooner than anticipated, given the 20 points Draco cost them while dealing with that blasted dragon had Slytherin at only 452. He perceived the accusing eyes on him, aware he was blamed for their defeat, though it was unlikely to have changed outcomes. Yet thoughts scolding Draco merged with exuberant roars from not just Gryffindor, but others too. Would Dumbledore bother contributing 10 points to Longbottom? Draco long suspected those were mere symbolic gestures, meant to theatrically climax Gryffindor's win. Dumbledore did proceed. Raising his hand, he paused for hushed attention. Bravery comes in many forms, he spoke gently. It takes a strong will to oppose our foes, but equally to challenge our companions. Consequently, 10 points go to Mr. Neville Longbottom. Part of Draco wanted to join in clapping. I told you, Longbottom, you're a true Gryffindor, he mused ruefully. The hall exploded once again in cheers. Draco only waited for the uproar to end, eyes maintained downward, unwilling to witness the green banners surrender to red. Yet it appeared Dumbledore wasn't quite finished. And finally, in his usual steady voice that reverberated across the hall, Dumbledore announced, for exhibiting immense bravery when faced with death, I grant 70 points to Mr. Draco Malfoy. Draco Malfoy lifted his gaze, skeptical of his auditory perception. Only when Dumbledore confirmed that the House Cup would remain in Slytherin's possession did the reality set in, and the festivities commenced, the hall cloaked in green hues. Clad in green, Harry Potter was quite a sight. The color not only accentuated his emerald eyes but also paired seamlessly with the silver of the Slytherin tie, adding a touch of elegance absent with the ostentatious Gryffindor gold. Draco adjusted Potter's tie, a hint of teasing delight playing on his lips, matched by Ron's laughter in response to Harry's evident discomfort. Surely, he's not actually expecting me to parade around wearing this, Harry grimaced to Hermione. Say, it isn't so. Draco lingered over the task of refining Harry's Slytherin tie, ensuring to properly align the dark green collar of Harry's robe, subtly admiring the transformation. He attributed it solely to the Slytherin attire. Perhaps I would have reconsidered, Potter, if your appearance didn't quite suit our prestigious colors. But pleasantly, I find Slytherin becomes you. Hermione regarded Draco with slight disdain, suspecting he jested, though her disapproval was lightened by her own success, having topped the year with flying colors, leaving behind Draco's impressive yet lesser-perfect scores. Even her achievement of 112% in charms had eluded his comprehension. Draco bore no intense resentment for his defeat by a younger peer. Come now, Hermione. He ought to be grateful I didn't enforce this attire on the last day of term, Draco chuckled. It's not like the Hogwarts Express will parade him around. But they will, Ron gleefully predicted. This one's sticking with you, mate, as they exited the secluded classroom where Potter had changed into Draco's robes. Finnegan and Thomas nearly keeled over in mirth at Harry's new look, equaled by Vince and Greg's amusement as they cheerfully stumbled down a few steps. As their boat crossed the lake, Draco gazed skyward at the Thestrals. See there, he nudged Harry. You should be able to see them now. See what? Harry asked, puzzled, confirming Draco's suspicion about Gryffindor's peculiar threshold for recognizing death. Nothing, Draco sighed, continuing to fiddle with Harry's Slytherin tie for his personal delight. I mean it, Potter. You'd have looked quite the part in Slytherin, even if not quite fitting in. Harry winced, glancing at Ron and Hermione in their quarreling ahead, before confiding, the Sorting Hat nearly put me in Slytherin, you know. What? Draco whispered, astonishment escaping louder than intended. It hinted I had ambition, the potential for greatness. It nudged me toward Slytherin, saying they could foster that. But I pleaded not to, until it relented, Harry admitted with reluctance. Draco masked the guard that revelation evoked, retorting lightly, Oh, not a surprise, Potter, for the hat once told me I was lacking in Gryffindor's gallantry, Ravenclaw's wisdom, Hufflepuff's sincerity, or Slytherin's cunning. You're joking, Harry said softly. That's not the Draco I know, and as Harry's gentle grin emerged once more, Draco felt an irrational urge to leap from the boat. On the Hogwarts Express, Longbottom shared their compartment, amused by Draco's declaration of him as his favorite Gryffindor, spawning mock outrage from Ron and Hermione and prompting Harry's disbelief. Well, Potter, Draco smirked, smoothing the snake crest on Harry's chest. Presently, that doesn't include you. You're a Slytherin for now. Considering making a sly exit among Slytherins at the platform felt needless due to his parents' probable awareness. Joining the Gryffindors, Draco regretted it upon encountering a kindly old woman embracing Longbottom. He felt a twinge from his wand but waved by regardless, watching them leave. Further along, Ginny Weasley excitedly pointed to Harry, still awestruck by his fame. See, Mum, he's here, she exclaimed. Mrs. Weasley, offering them a warm smile despite her surprise at Malfoy's presence, asked, A busy year, I take it? Noticing the green tie. Indeed, Harry replied, his hand concealing his tie. Grateful for the jumper and fudge, Mrs. Weasley. It was my pleasure, dear. I, lost a wager with Draco, Harry sheepishly confessed about his outfit. An unlikely group approached, Potter's infamous Muggle family. The purple-faced man scowled at Harry's owl, unfazed by seeing the famed boy nearby. Draco was incredulous these were Potter's caretakers, likened to a zoo's waiting exhibit. I presume you're Harry's guardians? Mrs. Weasley engaged the unpleasant-looking man. In a manner, yes, replied the surly elder. Move along, boy, we're pressed for time. Draco interjected between the man and Potter. Are you addressing this boy, or the other dull-looking one? Surely, speaking rudely to Harry Potter is unbecoming. Draco, it's all right, Harry urged, pulling on his sleeve. And who's this dandy little freak? A highborn oddity, The Muggle taunted, revealing to Draco what he'd suspected, Harry's harsh upbringing devoid of kindness. Oh yes, Draco grinned sharply, a refined oddity intolerant of disrespect towards himself or companions. Shall we find a better use for that Muggle tongue? Draco, you can't hex him here, Hermione warned, seizing Draco's hand away from his wand while Ron and Harry rallied nervously around them. Only catching the alarm in the Muggle's eyes did Draco relent. It appears my companions are more compassionate. Thank your nephew's mercy for retaining speech, Draco declared loftily, filled with Severus's cool intonation, eyeing the man's gaze. Turning back, Draco vocalized his disdain wisely. Farewell. Ensure Harry Potter receives due respect, or Malfoy's clemency may not extend. Draco. Harry snapped, as Draco decried and retreated from the Muggle. Harry, in a moment of sanity, grasped Draco's hand before returning to his family. Not quite finishing his farewells to a humored Ron, a vexed Hermione, and the bewildered Weasleys, Draco sensed a presence lingering just behind him. He intentionally avoided looking back, took his time with farewells, and embraced Hermione while giving a playful tug at the turquoise bracelet around her wrist, then turned to confront his father.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with more audiobooks. Happy listening!